Hello and welcome to the Best Today podcast. I am your host, Shantae Grant. And today I want to briefly talk to you about a dance with, I don't want to say rejection. I think there's a better word for it, but because I'm just going to put it out here and just talk through it, we'll say an experience with being told no. Or see, not even that. Can you tell I don't write notes for this podcast? I kind of know what I want to talk about and then just get on here and chat with you all. Sometimes I have an outline, but I want to talk to you about something that happened to me in February. We'll go back to December and really just 2023. Toward the end of 2023, I decided that I wanted to create something. And it was based off something I had been teaching all year at different places, different workshops for our different people in different groups. And I wanted to turn it into a study. And I thought, if I want to get this study in the most people's hands or eyes or ears, why not submit it to a platform that already has a load of users, over 9 million users, or I don't like that word, 9 million people who, engage with that platform. And so I set out to turn something that I had been teaching live into a study. And what was birthed from that, what was created, was a 14-day study. And I had so much fun, and it was so fun. I'm trying to think of a better word. I had so much joy out of creating this. I would get up in the mornings and skip to my office and my desk. I would take breaks to get over to work on this study and just delighted in creating it so much that actually became one of the reasons that helped me to get to where I say this year, my phrase is inch wide, miles deep. I really wanted to spend more time doing things like that study that I created. So I submitted. Eventually, I found out how to submit it to the platform. They say they'll give you 30 business days. Literally counted down to my calendar and did not hear from them until the 30th business day exact, because I had it written on my calendar, and was told, no, your submission was not accepted. And along with more words, I emailed back because I honestly was extremely shocked and also extremely upset. Extremely angry because I looked at the platform. I studied very deeply the studies they already do have, and mine was excellent. And it was not fluff. It was excellent, to put it really lightly. And so I just wanted to know, what was the criteria that was missed? And can you explain why? I understand you get, tens of thousands, if not more submissions. So I understand if I don't hear back from someone, but I'm going to put it out there and ask because this is important to me to understand why. And did get to speak with a kind human who responded back to me, which actually kind of made me more upset because it wasn't even about the substance. It was very frivolous. And I was encouraged to resubmit it. One of my friends who I talked through this with that same day or the next day also was like, I think you should resubmit it because people need this. And I decided I am not going to resubmit it to that platform. I believe that that experience was for me to experience the no, but also not rely on someone else's platform to build something that is my own, that I have created. And so that was, I think, the lesson I needed for that. But I'm going to tell you, it didn't come, that process of getting to that place didn't happen in a day. I was extremely, and I really wish you could see me right now, upset. Primarily because I know what I created and the value it was. And it was unfortunate that was not even taken into consideration. So I want to talk to you about, but with that, I was thinking to myself, oh my goodness, I have not experienced this kind of a thing where I've applied for something that I know I am if qualified is 1 to 10, I'm 5,000. If that's the case, you know how you apply for something, you're like, applying is just a formality. I know this is going to happen for me. It was that situation. It's not one of those situations where I've been in before in my life where I've applied for something and I'm like, whoo, we'll see, this was close or something like that, right? Maybe you've had that experience as well. But also for me, I realized it's been a long time since I've done something like this and the result wasn't an open door. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for that. And that doesn't mean that I don't get told no, boo, 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 boo. Let's go back and look at 21, 22, 23. That is not what I'm saying. But this was something that I applied for, knowing that what I was providing was more than what they were looking for, and very much so needed and going to be an aid to the platform. And that wasn't what was, in turn put back to me. And I think because of that, that was the thing that was extremely frustrating. But I'm grateful to have walked through it, because again, like I said, I have not dealt with that in a very long time in this type of situation or setting. And so the question is, how do I take the thing that I have experienced and learned and bring that to you here on the podcast? And it is, how many times, or what do you do in those situations when you have put yourself out for something and you're told no, or not right now, or you're told nothing, right? Which, sometimes I say no answer is an answer. What do you do? Well, for me, I had to say, okay, did this change the fact that what I created is superb? No, it did not, right? That didn't change that fact. The fact of the matter is, it was no for them at this period of time in the way in which it was submitted to them, right? So that was the information, and it's dissecting the feeling of, ouch, that stings, from what the facts are. Like, that was the first thing I had to do after allowing myself to experience the anger and the frustration of the no, or of the, well, we'll just call it of the no, right? Then I had to decide, okay, now let's look at what is here. Because a lot of times what happens, because I have these conversations with so many of you or so many people, is that you personalize it, you internalize it. Oh, I'm not XYZ. Or, and that never entered my mind, like not even for a millisecond of a second. Always knew and believed and know what I created and what value it had. So that's the first thing I want to talk to you about, like making sure you're separating the no from the actual thing, like from you and self. Now, sometimes we are going to get a no because what we produced wasn't what was needed, wanted, or up to par. That's going to happen in life. And in that situation, we're still separating. Again, that doesn't say anything about me, my value, but it might say something about what more I need to learn, unlearn, create, level up, do, perfect, work towards, etc. Even in that situation, we're not going to take a no as I'm going to internalize this as a thing about me. It might be a thing about what you need to do differently, learn differently, express differently. But those two things are very separate, right? So did it change my belief in what I do and what I have created? Absolutely not. Did it change the value of what I had created? No. The question was, what do I do with this? And it brings me to a question, and there's a podcast episode about this, I'm pretty sure, when I say the question that you ask yourself is, what would I do if I wanted this to work? If the first shot at it, the second, third, fourth, fifth shot at it did not come out with what I wanted it to, or the end result I needed, what would I do if I want it to work? And so for me, it was, I want this study out into the world. I created it. I love it. I know it's fantastic. I know it can help people. And it's real. And it's not about me. It's about what I have created can do for other people, which is always the case. Because I have nothing to prove in and of myself. I don't have a need for that. But I create things because I know that they can, when people engage with them, it can bring a change in their lives. And that is the thing that has not changed, right? And so my question was, okay, what do I do next, right? And that was now my opportunity. The options, you can resubmit it to this platform. They've told you, the guy emailed you and said he really encourages you to do that. Or you can find another platform. Or you can make your own. And that's what I decided to do, right? But more about that in a second. So it's like, is this, when you're told no, or when you go for something that, you don't receive, what is there to learn from it? Is this an opportunity to adjust something? Then yes, do that. But sometimes it's not that. It's just that that's not the lane or the time or the the time. Not saying don't go back to that thing, because maybe in your instance, again, I'm sharing my experience, not for you to take it verbatim, because maybe if your experience, it is resubmit, right? Whatever that looks like. It is going back and applying for that job, or it is doing X, Y, and Z. At Best Today, we exist to help women just like you be your best one today at a time. So each week on the podcast, we are going to highlight your stories and your voices. So let's see what's in the inbox today. Today, we have a 5-star review from Nikki of the Compass versus the Clock workshop, who writes, "Delivered as promised. Helpful is quite the understatement. I've led clients through a similar thought pattern, but going through it here in your Compass exercise was, all caps, super impactful for me. I feel encouraged, empowered, and aligned to what's most important to me. Most of all, the workshop delivered on its promise in real time. In about an hour, I have identified what's most important to me, and I'm able to grasp how not to compete against the clock." Thank you so much, Nikki, for that 5-star review. If you have not taken our Compass versus the Clock workshop, I'm going to keep talking about it because it is that good, okay? The workshop is going to teach you how to articulate and write out your life's compass, what gives you direction, so that you can allow that compass to dictate your clock, your time, and how you use it each day. So if you want to live a life that reflects your values, what matters to you, and incorporate those things in your daily life, this workshop is for you. Learn how to set boundaries on your time based on your life's compass. Now, it's workshop style, so you're going to work throughout to create your life's compass inside. You'll get everything you need inside of the workshop, which you'll receive via access the second you go to besttoday.co/workshop. Sign up to get inside of this workshop, and you will learn how to live by the compass versus the clock. It'll make great sense to you once you read it. You can also go and read all of the reviews by going to besttoday.co/workshop, which we have linked below for you. So go right now, click on the Compass versus the Clock workshop, read the reviews, and get inside today. Thank you again for that 5-star review, Nikki. But the question is there something to learn, or do you need to adjust? And if so, do that. And if not, then the question is, what do I do next, right? If it's not changing the thing, for me, it wasn't changing the thing. It wasn't adjusting. It was figuring out what is going to be my next step. And another question I think is helpful to ask is, is the information that was provided to me helpful to allow me to improve? In my case, again, it was a no. But maybe you're going to get information that's like, okay, actually, the reason why they told me no is really helpful, because now that gives me something to go back and understand this might be someone else's perspective. And even with that, you don't always have to take that at face value. That's why it's so important to really have a clear understanding of you and the things you create and the things that you do, so that you know when it is, in fact, something that needs to be shifted and when it's not, right? Another thing I appreciate about no is that for me, I used to say this quite often to others, that every no moves you closer to your yes. And I believe that. I also will semi-jokingly say that if the answer is no, I'm not talking to the right person. I firmly believe that as well, but that's not what we're talking about today. But I really want you to understand, when you're dealing with no's, how to step back and really view it in a way that isn't self-deprecating. That's the first thing. Like, that's the whole point of like everything I've said up to this point. And then I want you to ask yourself, what would I do if I wanted this to work? And what does that look like for you? And that's what I had to decide, right? For me, the no didn't provide helpful information outside of that this is a no from them. So I decided I'm going to keep moving. And I said, what would I do if I wanted this to work? And what does wanting it to work looks like? It looks like, how do I get this study I've created into the hands and eyes of people who want it? Okay, I could find another place, because there are so many others, or I could build my own thing. Now, the reason I wanted it in the first platform is because it already has the people there, right? And that is so nice, because it's like there are already people there who are seeking this kind of information. So I can create it and then put it right there where they already are. Or I can create it and I can invite you, and I can invite other people who will then invite other people who will then invite other people to it and do the very same thing. And that is what I decided to do. And so I decided to keep moving. I decided that someone else's no was not a judgment, was not a fact, was not a sentence upon what I have submitted and created. And that I know if you know what the end goal you're looking for is, now you're asking yourself, how do I get at it at a different way? And no point in that conversation with myself, with others, did it lead to anything being a reflection of me or even of what I created. And that's the part I want you to walk away with, is that I want you to be really firm in who you are and what you bring to the people, places, and spaces where you enter. There is almost always room for growth and development. I'm not downplaying that, but I'm also not going to say that's always true. That's always true in a situation. Maybe you are and do have exactly what is needed, but that's just not the space. And the question isn't, well, what's wrong with me or what's wrong with the thing that I'm doing? It is, what will I do next if I want it to work? How do I pivot? How do I think differently? How do I move on and not sit in this? For me, didn't want to sit in the anger, because that was the main thing I felt. I don't get angry often, and I don't get angry easily 99% of the time. So for me, I just didn't want to stay there because I hated how it felt, but I also knew I had to feel it because it's what I felt. It was what I felt, and I'm not going to not to deny a feeling because it's one that I don't feel often or I don't enjoy. But I had to also understand that I couldn't stay there, because that prevented me from movement, and I'm not going to be stuck and stagnant for any human person on the planet. And so I created my own platform to introduce this into the world, and I'll talk to you about that in a second for those of you who are interested in it. But the main point of this episode is to share that experience and to encourage you, if you are in the middle of experiencing no after no after no, or silence, right? No response, which sometimes is worse than the no. I actually think it is worse than the no. To not internalize it, but to ask yourself, what would I do if I wanted this to work? And to keep going, and to look for commonalities, right? If you're being told the same type of feedback, can you take that? And what will you do with it? That's what I want to encourage you to do today. And if you are the type who enjoy Bible studies, I do want to invite you to my new platform, which is called Invitation to Abide, where my 14-day study is live right now. It is a 14-day study. I encourage you to do it with a friend. If that is something that interests you, you can find it at invitationtoabide.com. There's a little button that just says 14-day study, and it'll take you right through. It'll have day 1, day 2, day 3, and so on. And you go one day at a time, and let me know what you think and how you're enjoying it, if that is, again, something that you're interested in. If not, I want you to take this episode and remember the next time you're told no, to sit in however you feel in response to the no, but also know that it has no reflection on your value or on the value of what you bring. Take the information that is relevant and keep moving. And remember that question: what would I do if I wanted this to work? For me, I would create something that lets me put this Bible study out in the world. And not only that, but now it gives me a place to write about all the different things that are on my heart and mind and thoughts. And so I have this whole platform now where I can do scripture-based reflections. And for the segment of the world who values that, it is there for them. And I'm grateful for that, because I will not be stopped. And I will continue to move one today at a time, just like I encourage you all to do. So thank you so much for being present with me for today's episode of the Best Today podcast. I truly appreciate you listening here every single week. Know that I would love to be in community with you. So I invite you to join us in the Best Today community at besttodaycommunity.com. And if you'd like to hear more from me, not only is there Invitation to Abide, but there's also For Those on the Journey, where I do a lot of writing as well. We'll link to all of that in the show notes, which you can listen to here. And I will talk to you later on the next episode of the Best Today podcast. Stay encouraged. And if you need anything, please reach out to me or my team. We are here to help you, to encourage you on this journey. Okay? Talk to you later. This podcast is provided for you every week by Best Today, where we are on a mission to help you to live and work well. We do this by creating resources that bring intention to how you plan, schedule, work, and live. You can get started in one of 3 easy ways. First, by taking our product quiz at besttoday.co/quiz. 2, joining us in our online community, the Best Today community, at besttoday.co/community. Or 3, connect with us through email at besttoday.co/email, all of which are linked below in the show notes. To learn more about our company and what we do, visit besttoday.co and join thousands of customers around the world pursuing a life of intention, one today at a time.